We do have a lot more fun things to talk about on the show today. We're going to be talking about the president-elect, new president-elect, what he's been up to, and also what McConnell has been saying about Trump's refusal to concede. Where does he come down? Will he support Trump in this effort? We don't know. And also Biden has been, he's saying he's going to name Ron Klain, or not saying, but according to reports, he is favored as Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, and Janet Yellen is favored as Treasury Secretary. Finally, Donna Shalala and the failed Pelosi House strategy. A lot of interesting stuff to get to on that front as we roll through this Monday show. And so this is something interesting here. Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the top Republican, a sign. Really, I think it's interesting. A sign that this isn't over yet. I think for Trump and for the Republicans, like they still very, very interesting. Even McConnell, someone who's really at the top of the party in terms of complete donor support, in terms of points scored for the conservative movement. Like no one is higher on the board than Mitch McConnell. He is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in this scenario, at least in the last 40, 50 years for sure. That goes without saying, in my opinion. He's been incredibly effective, one of the most effective politicians of really his and many others' generations. But if he's not coming out there, with all the support he has, if he is not coming out there and he's not saying this, and if he feels the need to and here's what I kind of say: whenever there's there's no real way of predicting for yourself. You can't at this point, in this day and age, when you're trying to figure out what will happen and make at least an educated guess. You can't be sure of anything, obviously. But if you want to make an educated guess about something, the best thing to do is to look at indicators and people who are, and really, and this I guess kind of requires a little bit of a weird mind to do, but you kind of have to judge. And I guess it isn't that hard, but you kind of have to judge their status, what they gain from supporting someone like President Trump at this current juncture, and are they doing it? What are their reasons? What are they saying? What does that mean? So, for example, if you take someone like Mitch McConnell, who really right now, he, considering the general trend of the Republican, the fact that Republicans are generally trending towards more power, they're flipping seats in the House, they're maintaining the Senate, they're continuing to beat expectations. They also, by the way, have a 6-3, and just in case Biden does something that needs to be challenged by the Supreme Court will easily smack down anything of any kind of great importance without any kind of concern. The Republicans do not need to sacrifice everything, to risk it all, to risk potentially upturning democracy over someone like Donald Trump. They just don't, given the current situation they're in, it is not desperate. They have someone in the White House like Donald Trump at this time. It just isn't. So if we see someone like Mitch, and Mitch McConnell knows that certainly, he is going to continue to be the master puppeteer for a very long time. He doesn't see himself, I don't think, going anywhere. So why is he making this move, and what is I think it's very interesting to look at if you're looking at it from the political perspective here, of why is he continuing down this road of supporting Trump? Let's see exactly what he has to say. So he pretty much declined to recognize President-elect Joe Biden's victory, as he argued Trump was 100% within his rights to challenge the outcome, just pretty much saying, wait, maybe. Is that what this whole thing is about? I don't quite know. Let's see if we can get some audio and get a further read on the situation.
If any major irregularities occurred this time of a magnitude that would affect the outcome, then every single American should want them to be brought to light. And if Democrats feel confident they have not occurred, they should have no reason to fear any extra scrutiny. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted. Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns.
What I do say, and there's a bit more of his remarks here left, what I really do see here is not a full committal. Like, this is not a full committal. It's not like, because I think what he's seeing here is he can come out and he can say these things, but he is not making, he's just stating truisms at this point. He's saying Trump has a right to do this, which, yes, he does. He does have the right to challenge and count the votes and to all cows come home, but he is not taking an aggressive approach. He is not really either way. What he is doing right now is he is hedging, but almost in a weird way that kind of benefits Trump and overall benefits the Republican Party. So what he is doing is he is playing it safe, kind of in all matters. From his position, playing it safe is kind of leaning, but not totally going towards the Trumpist base of the Republican Party here. Because notice what he's not doing two very important things. He's not coming out 100% behind the president. He's not like ride or die for the president. And I don't think he really ever has been. That has been I am 100% sure, like, just think about it. You think Donald Trump being in the White House has made, like, if Ted Cruz, for example, had won the presidency in 2016 and was in the White House, how much easier would Mitch McConnell's life be? Or any kind of a senator, anybody else who was running. Anybody else. I'm 99.9% sure McConnell would rather have as a partner with at least those kind of first 2 years when they had the trifecta of Trump, McConnell, and Ryan to work with. Like, Trump was the weak link in there, certainly, in terms of, like, getting things done of any kind of really importance, any kind of devastating big blow. And so he's no big fan. He's no big fan of Trump. I don't think that I don't think that makes any sense. But so he's not going to come out and, like, really fully hedge his bet. But he's still seeing that there is enough support there from the base, which was a big part of his Kentucky support. There is a large sizable chunk of the Republican Party, if not all of it, that is not ready to let go yet and still very much wants to see the votes counted. And I think it's also kind of genuine as well. Like, why not? Like, what's the downside in it? But he is really here, I think it's interesting to note, not making a full committal. He's not trying to push Trump out the door, possibly prematurely. He's really, I think, keeping his doors open here, which is kind of when you think about it, an unsurprising thing for McConnell to do. But in terms of someone like Mitch McConnell, those type of people, Mitch McConnell, back to what I was saying before about, like, the people who really matter here, like real Republican Party power brokers, people like Sheldon Adelson, for example, Mitch McConnell. You got people who have very, like, in power structures and basis of support that are independent from Trump. Like, they don't, if Trump criticizes them, they won't really be in any trouble, because they have their own networks and basis of support within either the Republican Party or some source outside of it. Maybe, like, they have like a lot of money and they dictate what happens in the Republican Party. Like, those people aren't going anywhere. They're going to survive and outlast Trump. That is for sure. And if they have the most to lose in the Republican Party from going to Trump, going all out, risking it all for the Donald, as they say. So it doesn't make quite a lot of sense. It would be very surprising to see, and I think very important to watch what some of those biggest power brokers do. If they still feel the need for some reason to test them. Because the big thing is, if there are enough people mad that they could lose seats and they could lose a lot of political power, then people like Mitch McConnell are going to have to take action. But he is still seeing that, and he is not willing to close the door on the Trump base yet, which is very, very interesting. I think really no one quite knows why, and really no one quite knows where his head is at, because we're all in kind of this awkward dance of the man who's clearly embarrassing himself here in the situation. The drunk at the bar of the American presidency is being told to go home, and the question is which one of his buddies is going to pat him on the shoulder first here. Mitch McConnell? Is it going to be Kevin? Is it going to be I don't know, the Secret Service. Who knows? I doubt it, but we will see. We will see. That is definitely a very interesting thing to watch. On the meantime, if there is a new president in January, which by all accounts there should be, and I think there's no reason to assume there won't be, really, at least in name only. I mean, considering what happens with Trump, but we don't know. We really don't know. There's so many caveats you can throw in there all day long. President-elect Biden is likely to name a chief of staff as early as this week. Favorite for the job is his former chief of staff, Ron Klain, who had the post from 2009 to 2011 when Biden served as vice president. One qualification that gives Klain the edge is that he served as President Obama's Ebola response coordinator in 2014 to 2015. Not a bad thing to have during the pandemic. Another is really that Klain is far more acceptable to progressives than Wall Street-afflicted members of Biden's inner circle like Steve Ricchetti or conservative senior advisors like Jeff Zients. So it's going to be interesting to see where these people end up because they will definitely end up somewhere. Or former DLC council leader Bruce Reed. So pretty much the architects of the neoliberal turn of the Democratic Party pretty much all throughout. And just people who are, DLC, just Clinton-era stuff. But all those people are bad for clearly for other reasons. And again, nothing about this should satisfy progressives. Nothing about this should absolutely satisfy progressives. Like this guy Ron Klain has done nothing but kiss up to Biden in every public appearance in every kind of way for the past however many years of the Trump presidency that he's been on MSNBC. Like other than that, like what is he gonna do? What is the hope that progressives have to take in this? Because there's no need, there's no reason, and nor should they. They shouldn't just they shouldn't like just be like holding their nose, and actually, really, they should spit in their faces when or if people associated with Biden come to the progressive and say, we should get a pause. We didn't put any corporatists, we didn't put any awful corporatists or Republicans in the cabinet like John Kasich, like we kind of hinted the media we would to play a public relations game. So you should give us the applause. Why don't you care about party unity? Why aren't you giving us the applause? We have to fight with the Republicans. And this whole like stupid circle just goes on and on and on. It is never going to stop because they ain't going to let you forget it. Like that is the whole point of this is the whole point of the situation. And what is going to happen, I think, very, very effectively, very, very often as well. So interestingly enough, another key post that has been pretty big and pretty intense. They may also go with a rerun from the Obama years as Biden looks for a prospective cabinet member who might satisfy both wings of his party and win a confirmation by a Senate that could stay a majority Republican. One interesting name has surfaced for the key post of Treasury Secretary, and that would be former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen. So Yellen would be an interesting choice on several grounds. She was reappointed as Fed chair very nearly by Donald Trump, who liked her for her policy of very low interest rates. So she is kind of very much on that same standard of the low interest rates doctrine, which kind of seems to be at least bipartisan at this point. Yellen is just liberal enough for liberals and just conservative enough for Wall Street. So yeah, and she's also a former Fed chair, so she's really just kind of the perfect nobody and the perfect person who isn't going to really raise any trouble for anyone. And no one really in the progressive side is going to get like people, I think, successfully too riled up about Janet Yellen, at least in the confirmation stage. But again, none of this should be acceptable. None of this should be like the only thing that Biden that I guess you could argue that Biden was owed was a vote in over Trump. I mean, nothing short of that, I think, is worth accepting or congratulating or praising in any way. Because the goal from this point should be to kick Biden out and kick Kamala out from the capper in the Democratic Party in 2024. Like, primary 100%.